What's up, guys? We need to have a little chat. So I've gone over a lot of information with all of you about vaccine risk, okay? The reality of what it is. I'm not telling anybody what to do. This, I always say it over and over again. Do your own research very thoroughly, both sides, come to your own conclusions, make your own decision, okay? Now, if your decision, based on the research that you've done, looking at how much risk there truly is with vaccines, how dangerous they really are, if you are deciding not to vaccinate, part of your research has to go into what that means moving forward and how you do it. And I'm specifically referring to the next doctor's office or doctor's appointment that's coming up when they're going to try to pressure you to get those shots. Are you ready to defend your decision? Because you are going to face extreme pressure. And part of that pressure is the vaccine refusal form. And this is a very horrible, very deceptively put together form that parents are bullied into. First of all, it's used as a way to scare you and persuade you to vaccinate. Second, if you stand firm, it's a way that they can use that decision against you if they want to. So let's jump in and take a look just so you have the information to consider. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, this is it. This is the refusal to vaccinate form. And we're going to scroll up because the way it's delivered to the physician is page 1 is for the doctor. Page 2 is presented to you. Okay? Page 1 is actually a propaganda piece aimed at the doctor to get them to push you really hard. So let's take a look at it. It says all parents and patients should be informed about the risk and benefits of preventative and therapeutic procedures, including vaccines. In the case of vaccination, the American Academy of Pediatrics strongly recommends and federal law mandates that this discussion include the provision of the vaccine information statements, the VISs. This is stupid. Go look them up. These things don't cover anything about the real risk of vaccines. It says, oh, it's going to protect you from this disease and some of these complications from these diseases. And there's just a tiny risk. There's 1 in a million that anything could go wrong. And it doesn't go into any details about what could go wrong and really where they're pulling those statistics. So they're not being fully transparent with the parents and patients at all. Despite our best efforts to educate parents about the effectiveness of vaccines and the realistic chances of vaccine-associated adverse events, some will decline to have their children vaccinated. We all should. My opinion, you do you. This often results from families misinterpreting and misunderstanding information presented by the media and unmonitored and biased websites. Biased websites like PubMed from the National Institute of Health, looking at peer-reviewed medical journals, causing substantial and often unrealistic fears. Within a 12-month period, so it goes over some statistics about the number of people that have declined vaccinations. The use of this or similar form in concert with direct and non-condescending discussion can demonstrate the importance of your place on appropriate immunizations, focuses parents' attention on the unnecessary risk for which they are accepting responsibility. The unnecessary risk for which they are accepting responsibility. Where's that statement specific to vaccinating? That's what I want to know. And may, in some instances, induce a wavering parent to accept your recommendation. Again, it's designed to put pressure and get you to change your mind. Providing parents with an opportunity to ask questions about their concerns regarding recommended childhood immunizations, which they don't answer. They say, well, I don't know about that, and we're just going to have to disagree. If they're not answering your questions, don't sign their form. Attempting to understand parents' reasons for refusing one or more vaccinations, attempting to understand, because how could they ever? Attempting to understand parents' reasons for refusing one or more vaccines and maintaining a supportive relationship with the family are all part of a good risk management strategy. The AAP encourages documentation of the healthcare provider's discussion with parents about the serious risk of what could happen to an unimmunized, underimmunized child. What about what could happen when they get the vaccine? They don't go over that. Provide parents with the appropriate pamphlet for each vaccine at each immunization visit and answer their questions. For parents who refuse one or more recommended immunizations, document your conversation with the provision of the pamphlet. Again, this pamphlet, they're utilizing it as a way to cover saying that they gave you the information. Demand the package insert. Demand the package insert. That if they haven't reviewed the package insert with you, they haven't given you all the information about the vaccine. Have a parent sign the refusal to vaccinate form and keep a form in the patient's medical record forever. The AAP also recommends that you revisit the immunization discussion at each subsequent appointment and carefully document the discussion, including the benefits to each immunization and the risk of not being age-appropriately immunized. Age-appropriately has never been studied, has never been proven safe. Nothing about the vaccine schedule is proven safe. In fact, the science that does exist would tell you when it comes to age appropriateness, it's too soon. Their body cannot seroconvert and actually develop the antibodies that are important for coverage that young. That's why you have to keep bringing them back until they are actually ready to do it. Those early appointments are just a conditioning process for you parents. For unimmunized or partially unimmunized children, some physicians may want to flag the chart to revisit the immunization discussion, as well as to alert the provider about missed immunizations when considering the evaluation of future illness, especially young children with fevers of unknown origin. Oh no, not a fever. Go watch my video on fevers, please. This form may be used as a template to document that the healthcare provider had a discussion with the parent signing the form about the risk of failing to immunize the child. It is not intended as a substitute for legal advice. Blah, blah, blah. While it may be modified to reflect the particular circumstances of a patient, family, or medical practice, practices may want to consider obtaining advice before modifying it. If you're bullied into signing this, you're going to modify it, and I'm going to show you. Here's the form. Patient information, you the parents, Dr. Butthole. Okay. You're going to check mark every vaccine you're declining at that appointment. Here's what it says. I, Dad, have been provided with and given the opportunity to read each little pamphlet that doesn't tell me anything from the Center of Disease Control and Prevention, explaining the vaccines and the diseases that it prevents for each of the vaccines that are tracked above and checked as recommended that I have declined as indicated above. I have had the opportunity to discuss the recommendation and my refusal with my doctor or nurse who has answered all of my questions about the recommended vaccines. If they didn't go over the package insert, if you're not asking serious questions, doctor, why is aluminum in there? Can that aluminum be absorbed in the organs and go to the brain? Does it cause immunoexcitotoxicity? Is it triggering inflammation? And could it be triggering autism? What about the aborted fetal tissue in there, the human DNA fragments? Is that causing cancer? Can it cause autoimmune disease? Can that also contribute to autism? Why is it so dangerous? What about the formaldehyde? What about the thimerosal? They keep telling us that thimerosal has been removed, but when I went to the FDA website, it actually said, well, there's still trace amounts because it's actually still there. It's just part of the manufacturing process, so we don't have to put it as an ingredient. So could that mercury cause autism? Isn't that dangerous to inject in my baby? What about the polysorbate 80? Can you tell me, is that going to disrupt the blood-brain barrier and allow these toxins to go into the brain? If they're not answering these questions for you, don't sign their damn form. A list of reasons for vaccinating. Possible health consequences of non-vaccination and possible side effects for each vaccine is available. This is hilarious. Possible side effects of the vaccine is available at this link, which takes you to their little pamphlets. It's not the vaccine insert. It's not the package insert. I understand the following. The purpose of and the need for the recommended vaccines. The risk and benefit of the recommended vaccines. If they didn't explain the risk clearly, you don't know it. That some vaccine preventable diseases are common in other countries and that my unvaccinated child could easily get one of these diseases while traveling or from a traveler here. If my child does not receive the vaccine according to the medically accepted schedule, the consequences may include contracting the illness the vaccine is designed to prevent. The outcome of these illnesses may include one or more of the following: certain types of cancer, pneumonia, illness requiring hospitalization, death, brain damage, paralysis, meningitis, seizures, and deafness. Other severe and permanent effects from these vaccine preventable diseases are possible as well. Funny, because your stupid little VIS pamphlet didn't list any of these. It just says adverse events are rare, 1 in a million. Why do they have to put so much liability and legality on you as the parent? Because the doctor wants to cover their ass. But why don't they do this? Why don't I have to sign this form saying, I'm actually going to go ahead and do the vaccinations? Why don't they say, oh, well, you're going to have to sign this form first because according to our studies and in the vaccine package insert, it states it could cause certain types of cancer, pneumonia, illness requiring hospitalization, death, brain damage, paralysis, meningitis, seizures, deafness, and other severe permanent effects from the vaccine. Because it does cause those things, but you don't have to sign something like that because they already have no liability to any injury that it can cause on you or your baby. They don't give a shit. So they're covering their ass and you get to cover your own. You will not sign this. Do not. I also agree that my child could be transmitting the disease to others, including those too young to be vaccinated, or those with immune problems, possibly requiring my child to stay out of child care or school, requiring someone to miss work to stay home with my child during a disease outbreak. My child's doctor and the American Academy of Pediatrics, American Family Physicians, and CDC and Prevention all strongly recommend that the vaccine be given according to the recommendations, which are not studied for safety. Nevertheless, I have decided at this time to decline or defer the vaccine recommended for my child, as indicated above, by checking the appropriate box under the column titled Declined. I know that failure to follow the recommendations about vaccination may endanger the health or life of my child and others with whom my child may come into contact with. Absolutely not. Do not sign this form. This is not what you're doing. You are protecting your child from being injected with proven horrible toxic poisons that will damage their body. Not only that, if they take the vaccine, they are transmitting the disease they just got injected with. They are actively carrying and shedding the virus or bacteria that they were given. It's known fact. This happens for weeks after the injection. So where's the form to sign to agree to that? If you vaccinate, you don't have to. I therefore agree to tell all healthcare professionals in all settings what vaccines my child has not received because he or she may need to be isolated or may require immediate medical evaluation and tests that might not be necessary if my child had been vaccinated. So again, you'd be agreeing to medical procedures that you don't want done because they hadn't got a vaccine. Don't sign the form. I know that I may readdress this issue with my child's doctor or nurse at any time, and that I may change my mind and get the dang vaccines. That's totally up to you guys. Totally up to you. Okay, there's the form. Sorry I didn't do this video earlier. So what happens if you've already signed the form? What do? You sign the form, you didn't read it. You get home, you read it. You realize, whoa, I am not agreeing to this. Because every one of these statements can be used against you. You are agreeing that you're putting your child in harm's way. And that is just a statement that Child Protective Services can come in and say, you're a neglectful parent, we're taking them from you. Okay? That's not what you're doing, so do not sign that form. If you signed it, then you go, oh shit, what did I do? Here's the starting point. Go to the doctor right away and say, as a family, we discussed this form, and based on our research, and hand them research, I've given you tons in my past videos, say we don't agree with any of these statements, and I was bullied into signing this. I signed this under duress, and I don't stand by it. I want it out of the record. I need it back. 99% chance that ain't gonna work. So then what? The doctors may have been warned that if they don't have this form on file, the parents could sue the doctor should the child get one of the diseases the vaccine was supposed to prevent, which is a crock. So they're not going to want to let go of the form. So now what do? The doctor's office does not cooperate. You need to send them a certified letter rescinding your signature and thus nullifying the form. And I would hand this letter in person with somebody recording to show that this happened and that that signature is no longer valid. You want to document as aggressively as they do or more. Okay? It's also recommended that you send them a vaccination notice to end all disputes regarding vaccines. So here's an example of what the letter can say. Dear Dr. Butthole, unfortunately, I mistakenly signed the refusal to vaccinate form regarding my son or daughter that your office asked me to sign. After a discussion with my family, I have decided that this form was not in our best interest to sign, and I have placed my son to sign and have placed in my son's file. I hereby rescind my signature on that form, making it null and void, and require that your office return the original to me. We have concluded after much research that vaccinations today are neither safe nor effective and that the theory of herd immunity has been scientifically proven invalid many times. So I am sending you our own vaccination notice. Please include this notice in my son's medical record. Sincerely, responsible parent. Okay, that's basically your options. Don't sign the form. You have the right to say no, okay? Constitution gives you that right. Better yet, before you even start going to the doctors, go to your Department of Health. If you live in a state that still has exemptions because they're fading quickly, go to the Department of Health and get your child on the state exemption. Personal and or religious exemptions are available in many states. A lot of them have taken them away. You may have to homeschool, but guys, if you've done your research and decide not to vaccinate, be ready with more research on how that looks moving forward. You have to be your child's advocate. You have to watch every move they make in a hospital. If you end up in the hospital, that they're not administering these vaccines without you knowing it. Because, again, read the forms you sign. You're giving away a lot of decision-making power when you get administered into an inpatient setting. Okay, you have to watch what's going on and never allow anything to be administered without you knowing what it was and if you agree to that being administered. Okay? That's really what I want to talk about. I hope it helps. Do your due diligence. If you decide to vaccinate, good luck and God bless. If you decide not to vaccinate, it comes with a lot of responsibility, okay? A healthy lifestyle. Number one, you need to support everyone in the home with everything you need to thrive naturally. That's toxic-free environment, the best you can, and clean foods, the best you can, nutrient-rich, solid diet, good choices, active lifestyle. You will be okay. There's risk either way. Guys, that's why I always say, do your research, come to your own conclusions, make your own decisions. Love you. Bye.